Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in today's episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a hypnosis session that was created for a client that had a fear of rodents, and in particular mice. And they had an apartment in the city, but they also had an apartment more in the country, and it was that particular home that they were concerned about mice being in the property and how they would handle that. And what I tend to do when I'm working with clients that have a fear is find the closest thing to the fear that they are not afraid of. And this client had a fear of mice. So I asked the question, is there anything of a similar sized animal that they're not afraid of? And for them, it was small birds. Even though they were both unpredictable, small, quite fast moving, they had no fear of birds, but they did have a fear of mice. And the reason I look for the nearest comparable thing is because that demonstrates a resource state very close to what would be very helpful in the context of mice. So what you're going to hear in this particular hypnosis session is an element of what's called priming. You want to prime and activate the resourceful state linked to the initial thing and then map that across to the thing where they currently feel unresourceful. And anxiety can be a resource state, but in most cases, it makes people feel unresourceful. It has that paradox of making people less prepared and less capable rather than more capable. And it's interesting because I've worked with a lot of people that had a fear of birds, but this client, importantly, didn't have a fear of birds, but did have a fear of mice. So that's what you're going to hear, an element of priming, activating the resource state, mapping across to the context of mice, and then disassociated and associated future pacing so that they could actually feel comfortable and confident around mice. And they definitely couldn't before. And the good test of this kind of thing is, because anxiety is linked to anticipation, I asked the question at the end of the session, how do you now feel about going to your home in the country? And she was scanning for the anxiety but couldn't find it. And that's normally a good clue that something has changed, because she did indeed start thinking of mice a lot like small birds and therefore nothing to worry about. And that's, quite a good metric. The real proof of any kind of change will be when she's next actually in that environment, and she did have some humane mouse traps. So if she does capture and release a mouse and feels calm while doing it, that will be the nail in the coffin of that particular phobia. Now, I appreciate you might have stumbled across this particular hypnosis recording because you have a fear of rodents, but it might be that your fear is rats, or your fear is something else. It might be different types of rodents, and there are more than just kind of rats. You've got gerbils, you've got other small, kind of creatures. Different parts of the world, you've got very large rodents. So it doesn't necessarily need to be mice. And it might be that you don't feel great around small birds either, but just bear in mind that this was for the original client. They felt fine with small birds, but they didn't feel fine around mice, and that's why it was the session for them. So if you do like the idea of having a hypnotherapy session customized to you and your circumstances to enable a breakthrough for you, there will be a link in the show notes where you can schedule that free consultation call to explore working with me. Because normally with phobias, it's normally 2 or 3 sessions is all it would take to really kind of break through a phobia so it doesn't come back, or to reduce the anxiety to such a low level that it doesn't really affect your quality of life. So if that appeals to you, click the link in the show notes. We'll have a completely free chat over on Zoom, and you can make the decision if I'm the right therapist to work with you. For now, though, you might find some value in this session, even though it was created for someone else. So just find a nice, quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in, position your body in a way that feels comfortable. And as you exhale, release any tension around your eyelids, and just notice that with your eyes closed, how much easier it is to focus on the sound and the words of my voice. Breathing in relaxation, exhaling tension, and just getting a sense that every outward breath is releasing any tension, any stress, any worries, or feelings of anxiety. Just like a transfusion through breath. Breathing in relaxation and confidence, and exhaling tension or anxiety. And maybe you can notice the more relaxed you feel, the deeper and slower your breathing becomes. Breathing in more of that relaxation and exhaling more of any tension, creating a wonderful snowball effect. The deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you feel, and the more relaxed you feel, the deeper you breathe and the longer you exhale, and the more that anything disempowering, anything you don't need, is leaving your body in that outward breath. And you can feel a sense of calm spreading through your body, like a soft breeze or a warm blanket. And as you continue to relax, imagine yourself in a peaceful, natural setting where you can see trees. Maybe on a spring day, seeing the blossom. Maybe you could imagine sunlight finding its way through the canopy of the trees. Or maybe you can imagine a quiet garden where you can hear the gentle chirping of birds. I want you to notice the sound of that bird chirping. Perhaps you could imagine seeing a small bird on a tree branch, maybe a chickadee or a long-tailed tit. As you look at that tiny bird on that branch, get a sense that it's vulnerable, delicate, maybe even cute. As you notice its tiny movements, the way it flutters from branch to branch, soft feathers, bright, inquisitive eyes. And as you see this small, delicate creature that needs food and water and occasionally shelter from harsh rain or storms, Notice how there is no anxiety, but a feeling perhaps of empathy, understanding. This is a creature like you that also has needs, that isn't malicious. It's just a bird, a small animal. And scan your body for any emotions, perhaps curiosity, appreciation, maybe just warmth, or just a sense of ease around this small bird. You come to the irrefutable conclusion that it's just a small creature moving about its world just as you move about yours. And then notice that not far from these trees or this garden is a home from home that you recognize. You're seeing it from the outside. Notice the shape of the building, the entrance, any features that make it unique. Imagine walking into this home, and imagine to your surprise that one of those small birds has found its way inside. And maybe it came through an open window or slipped through a gap in the door. You see it fluttering, a little confused, trying to find its way back out. There is no evaluation that it's doing something to annoy you, cause an inconvenience to you. The evaluation is that it's here through either bad luck, misfortune, or an accident. It didn't mean to be here. And you feel a sense of empathy that you have a desire to help it leave as it wants to. And without hesitation, you move with a calm confidence. You know exactly what to do. Maybe you gently guide it towards the door, or open a window, or if it's tangled up in something like curtain netting, you find a container or some gloves to help hold it and guide it outside. You handle the situation with ease, feeling in control, feeling a sense of pride that you're helping this little creature return to where it belongs. And as you observe the bird, something interesting happens. At first, it still looks like a bird, but slowly, gradually, its features begin to shift. The feathers smooth out, its tiny beak softens, and soon it has a little pink nose and whiskers. Yet you feel somehow that it's still a bird. Its delicate feet remain, but the wings seem to disappear, and now it has tiny paws. And yet nothing has changed in you. The same calm, capable feeling remains. Because this is still just a small, harmless creature moving about in its own way. It's just like a small bird, only dressed a little differently. And you realize that if you choose, you could even imagine little mice with tiny wings folded against their backs, or mice wearing fluffy feathered coats, blending the two ideas together. And the more you think of this, the truer it becomes that there's no reason not to feel the way you feel about birds is becoming the way you feel about mice. And with this new way of seeing things, you realize something profound. The way you handle the bird is the same way you can handle the mouse. Empathy, assistance, understanding. I want you to get a sense that there was a time that mice triggered a feeling in you, but that's the past now. Now they feel just like small birds without any wings, where the beak is now a tiny nose, and the tiny teeth struggle to open something like a sunflower seed. They're harmless to you. And now imagine a future moment. But this time see yourself like you're someone else. And that version of you notices a small movement in the corner of a room. And that version of you sees a little mouse safely trapped in a humane mousetrap. But notice there's something different about that future version of you. Moving and acting the same way with that little bird. See that version of you, steady, in control, just as you were with that little bird. See that version of you picking up the trap. See that version of you feeling resourceful, capable, and calm. See that version of you carrying it outside, walking with confidence or driving it somewhere further afield, but looking completely at ease. See that version of you finding the perfect spot, maybe a quiet wooded area, or somewhere far off in a garden where it can scamper away freely. And observe how you place the trap down, waiting for it to calm down. At the right time, opening the trap so that when it's ready, it can freely escape and go where it chooses. When the time is right, the mouse eventually moves away, finding its way back into the ideal environment in nature. Mice have existed for millions of years, way before towns and cities and houses. A mouse doesn't want to be in a house. It just wants occasional shelter and food. And if food is hard to find, it doesn't want to be there. And if you've seen yourself handle the situation the way you would like, then rewind that thought and now step into it and feel like you're the one seeing the mouse in the humane trap. You're the one picking it up with that same sense of calm you would do if it was a trapped bird. You're the one walking with it or driving away to somewhere that it would want to be, waiting for it to calm down, opening the trap and waiting for it to go away when it's ready, and then taking the empty trap back and maybe giving it a wash and resetting it only if it's needed. get a sense that if you can do this in your imagination, you can do it in reality. You can do that, handle it with ease, be calm, resourceful, in control. And from now on, any time you encounter a mouse, you will treat it like a little bird, helping it to find its way to where it wants to be. Because you've changed the way you see them. And just as you are completely at ease with small birds, you are now completely at ease with mice. And that first once or twice occasion where you take them somewhere safe, any anxiety are just echoes of the past, nothing real, but giving you a firm belief that now you can remove them whenever you desire, but probably won't need to. You will see mice as just tiny, harmless creatures, a little different in shape, but not in their essence. Delicate, vulnerable, unpredictable, but harmless. And because you've already seen yourself succeed, your mind and body know exactly how to handle this in the real world if necessary. You are planting a seed of an idea that because you've changed the way you think about mice, anxiety is no longer needed. And the more you think of that, the truer it becomes. And if it feels like a shift has taken place, feeling more confident in your future, let me know by nodding your head. And now it's time to return. Away from the trees or the house, or the garden or the branches, back to the here and now. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes, starting to connect and calibrate with the here and now, as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. You will awaken feeling resourceful, calm and confident, with an expectation that from this point forwards, you are completely fine with mice, just as you are with small birds. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.